And welcome to the Grow Patiently podcast. My name is Hugo Trace from growpatiently.com. And today I'm here with Shaelah, and I'm really excited because, as ever, we have found a healthcare success story and someone who is making great waves in the industry. And we're going to learn all about their story and their company. Now, before we get started, those of you who watched, last week, you'll know that I have a new tax for the podcast, which is very simple. That if you listen to it and you enjoy it and you take one thing from it, even just one thing, you enjoy the story, you learn something, you laugh or you cry, then please do like, subscribe, or share it with one person. That's the tax. We appreciate it. So let's get into it. Shaelah, welcome. Let's introduce yourself, please.
Thanks for having me this morning. So I'm Shaelah Harmon, and I'm the president and COO of the Brae Companies. So there's multiple companies that I oversee. Right now, I'm at our main central campus, which is the Pacific Campus, a health, sports, and medical facility that we have 150,000 square feet of what I call fun. Other people might call torture, depends on their view of fitness. And then we also have our base here for HomeTeams, which is our app product and what we consider more of an ecosystem of healthcare.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited to dive into those things, but I like to ask one question before I do that, which is that I want to get the pronunciation right. That's why I'm looking over onto my other screen. You are from Kennewick, Washington, right? So imagine I'm thinking about coming for a visit. I've never been there before. What do I need to eat? What do I need to drink? Where do I need to go to visit? What museum? What gig? To really experience Kennewick like the locals do.
Yes. So we're known for our wine. So hopefully you like wine. There's several vineyards in the area. We're more of an agriculture community. My favorite thing is that we're right by the river. So literally, if I leave my office, I can be less than 10 minutes down at the river. So a lot of people do boating, paddle boarding is pretty common here. This time of year, people are still out biking and hiking up on the local mountains. So we do a lot of outdoor stuff here. So wine drinking and then work it all off.
I love it. Oh, well, that's quite different to London. It's more of a concrete buildings.
Yeah, there's not a lot. We're not like it's a very spread out city. So we're technically called tri-cities. There's three cities that are border each other. You cross one street and you're basically into the other city. So we don't have a lot of high buildings here. We like to build out, not up. So there's still concrete buildings, but no skyscrapers.
Okay, that's how it goes. Well, I'll when I do my tour, I said to someone the other day, when I do eventually go around the USA I've got this idea of bouncing past all the people who've done the podcast and go and visit these places that they've told me to go and visit. Wouldn't that make a cool podcast episode? So I'll be sure to do that.
Yes, we would love to have you. You
Well,
got to
now
come in the summer though. That's my only request. Come in the summer because then you can come and use the water park that we have and enjoy the river. There are people this morning that jumped in the river. So there are still people that use it this time of year, but I don't recommend it if you don't like the cold.
they're brave. They're brave. Okay,
Yes.
great. Well, let's dive into it. Tell me, tell the listeners really about your story into healthcare. I know that you have Pacific Campus and your new venture, the app, and tell us about what you do, why you do it, how you got into it, all of that, please.
Sure, sure. Well, I'll cover more of kind of what I do and less about kind of who I am. But my background is in exercise science. So I have a degree in that. I thought I wanted to be a physical therapist and decided that I wanted to help in a different way, which is kind of changing the landscape of healthcare and fitness as a whole. So I went more the business route. I have kind of been here since the ground up. The company was taken over in 2022 by the current founder and owner, which is Steve White. And so I got to be there from the beginning stages and kind of help build this new landscape of, like I said, our health, sports, and medical campus. So a lot of times people have kind of one part of it, like they'll have the fitness classes, or maybe they'll have tennis, have some racquetball in there, maybe they'll have childcare, and then you'll go to a different place that has primary care, physical therapy. Well, we have it all. So we have everything under one roof. So we consider ourselves a one-stop shop. And so it's really important for us. Our logo is play hard, live well. So how do you go through life? Well, obviously having fun. And so we try to have all these different avenues that people can experience that and obviously get healthy. So that is where my first part started. And then because of what Steve and I have worked on, we found this need for HomeTeams, which is the product for Brae Applications, which is one of the other companies that I'm the COO of. And we developed a product after he started caring for his parents. We found a very big need for it. And it started off with us just kind of, strapping up our boots and figuring out what we needed. And then we have developed from there. So it's been a product we've been working on for about 4 years. And then we actually were able to do development this year, and it will be released at the end of this year, beginning of next year. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, it's exciting because obviously you've scaled one big, uh, fitness campus already, and now you're sort of taking on quite a different business type, really. So you're going to be really well experienced in lots of different growth areas, really.
Yeah, we try to. My favorite thing that Steve says is he wouldn't consider himself an expert. He considers himself not being an expert. He's like, I'm an expert in not being an expert. I find people that are. And so, like myself, I don't really do a lot of the development side of it, but I've learned a lot. But what I do feel like I'm good at, and what Steve is amazing at, is finding people who are amazing at those tasks and skills. So we have created an amazing network of connections that either have helped us build the product or have helped develop different avenues of what we can kind of build off of. So it's been great.
That is very interesting. That's something that a lot of people talk about when they're growing their companies about, building a team. And people sort of say, oh, it's really important to build a team and kind of wash straight over it. But I think what you're saying there about understanding that you're not going to be the best at everything
Yeah.
and finding people who can push that area far greater than you can. So I was wondering, maybe you can shed a bit more light about how that's attributed to the success of Pacific Campus and also to the early success of HomeTeams.
Sure. So we have about 200 employees on the campus. It goes up in the summertime because we have a water park here that is open during the 3 summer months. So we increase staffing for kids camp and things like that. So obviously the campus cannot run without the team. And a lot of them have been here since the beginning, and they've helped evolve and develop the programs and everything that we have. So I think that has been instrumental. The side of HomeTeams, I kind of have to go back a little bit because it starts, like I said, with Steve's parents. So he came back here. He himself he was sick. So his story is very
Yeah.
inspiring. And in fact, he has a book coming out this month to kind of go over his story, how he kind of got to where he was. But he was a professional football player, played in the CFL, played through college, and had multiple concussions, other injuries as well. But they diagnosed him with PCS, so post-concussion syndrome. If you're familiar with any of the concussion football stories, I got to experience it firsthand, like see what it really does to people when I met Steve. So obviously there's a lot of things that take place. Your speech, your memory can be impaired, your motor skills can be affected, emotions and behavior can be affected. And so he came here basically at the point where doctors were like, there's nothing more we can do for you. He was having seizures pretty much daily, weekly. He had his driver's license taken away. When I met him, he barely could form a sentence. He would start his sentence and then he would like not be able to finish it. So he came here initially with the previous owner, Carl, and he said, I think I have some treatments that maybe we could try. And Steve loves research. So he's like, let's do it. So he dove in and found all this information and things that he could potentially do. And so he and Carl started doing these treatments. A lot of like hyperbaric, oxygen, contrast type training, light therapy, sound therapies. And it was amazing. He had a 70% increase in cognitive function. And that got the attention of a lot of people. So we made a connection with UCSD out of California, and they were intrigued by how does somebody go from that to 70%, got his license back. I mean, is running the company. He's the CEO of
Mm.
our company. I mean, that is such an amazing story. So he comes back, he starts to get better, and his parents are in their mid to late 80s, and they're now not doing well. So he kind of used us all as a team during his stuff. We would help with getting him in the hyperbaric chamber or pump him up and do things like that. So he thought, you know what if we do something similar for mom and dad? And at first, there's a couple of reasons behind it. One, he thought, okay, I saw this improvement in myself, but also the cost of healthcare is it racks up for somebody who's in home care. You put them in a assisted living, it's expensive. They have constant visits that you may sit in the emergency room here in America for 6 hours. And by that time, your symptoms are gone and you feel, okay, fine, I'm going to leave. So you just sat there for 6 hours for no reason. So he thought, let's try a team. And that's where HomeTeams was kind of born. So his family and then people from here and friends of his parents started coming over, and it ranged. I got to be a part of the home team as well. So it would be things like helping take medication, like just simply getting their pills out, ready, okay, here it is, to painting toenails, to playing cards, to reading books, to listening to stories. I got to help his mom get ready for bed every night and do things like that. And I think we saw the major impact in his parents, and then we started implementing it with people here on the campus, where we would help them form a team and kind of see changes. And at the time, we were doing it, like I said, pen and paper, texting, phone calls, trying to get it all collaborating together. And we saw, okay, there's a major need for it. He reduced his costs from $12,000 a month to $2,000 caring for his parents. His mom, in particular, I believe it was in like January, February, had been life flighted out to Montana, and she was given 4 to 6 days to live. They said she's not going to make it. She has kidney failure. Just take her home and make her comfortable. She lived 11 months.
Yeah.
11 months because of the home team, because people were coming, taking care of her, getting her moving, giving her purpose. And so I think we realized we found something. How can we tie it all together? And then from there, bringing in the experts, like I talked about, it has evolved where we're incorporating AI. We're adding in, can we actually have home visits? Yeah, they do that now, but it's not all in one cohesive place. How can we make it so easy to care for somebody? And how can we go beyond just elder care? How can it apply to kids? How can it apply to somebody who's just wanting to get better and take care of themselves and improve their health and kind of take it all on? So it's definitely evolved, but that was the origin of it.
Yeah, I love it. It's a remarkable story, really. I mean, and what's interesting is one of the things I always speak to people is about telling the story of your company can make a big difference, because people are much easier to they find it much easier to hear stories and retell them. So it's got the effect of snowballing. And you've had now two companies with two quite remarkable stories, and
Yes.
it's amazing to hear them. I think what would be really nice maybe is just to explain in a bit of a nutshell. I know that uh, home teams is a very new concept, really, and you're kind of developing it. But maybe you can just explain really clearly what it is, what it does specifically, because
Sure.
it's great.
Yeah, I would love to. So the basic concept of it is an app that allows you to create a team, right? That's why we call it home team, very simple. So you would start off, if you were doing it, you would be the team captain, and you would invite people to be on mom's team, and you're going to name it team mom or whatever you want, super mom. And you're going to invite family, friends, whoever you want onto the team. And that's pretty simple. Most people have like group chats and, they'll do things like that. What makes us unique is you are now all in one app. We're able to communicate back and forth just like a normal text thing. But what changes it is now AI is actually helping follow. So let's say during the day, mom needs her lawn mowed. You're going to assign a task in there. So there's a built-in calendar. You have the chat component, the built-in calendar, and you're going to say, mom wants her lawn mowed on Saturday. Who can help? And at that point, they accept the task. So they're able to say, yes, I would like to come in on Saturday and help mow the lawn. And then you're able to create multiple tasks. Where people start to get lost in that, because all of us are busy. We're professionals, a lot of people, and we're trying to care for our loved ones. Some of us have kids. Now AI is also tracking that. Hey, I noticed that 2 weeks ago or a week ago, you put mow the lawn. It hasn't been put on there. Would you like that to take place? Yes, I do. Perfect. So it's helping kind of monitor that side of it. The last component of it is metrics tracking, and also kind of the health side of it. So let's also say I'm caring for my mom. I have no idea what I'm doing. I know nothing. I know that she needs certain things, but what she needs, I don't know. I'm feeling lost and overwhelmed. Again, that's where AI comes in. It's able to help give you guidance. My mom just got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. What does that mean? People think that, oh, it's out there and everyone understands it. They don't. People don't
Yeah.
understand how to care for type 2 diabetes. What's the best way? Can it be managed with diet? What are simple things that I can help explain to my mom, explain to my child, to myself, so I feel more comfortable? And so AI is able to do that. The thing that's, again, most people are like, oh, well, you can do that now. Yeah, but you can't do it all in one piece. You can't be in there and have, oh, you've been tracking. And also, by the way, mom has a watch on and her steps have gone from 5,000 to 1,000. What's going on? Is her mood changing? And I can give those metrics over to her provider and say, okay, what's going on? Has her heart rate changed? And all those metrics are being tracked as well. And the last component, which is my favorite component, is whenever we were taking care of Steve's mom, Jane, there's times we have to go see a provider or we'd have to call because she needed something checked for vitals. And everyone has experienced this. You show up to the doctor, they say, fill out this paperwork, give your entire health history. And you're like, okay, here's my health history for the 18,000th time. How do people not have this? And you would think at this point, how is this not all connected? We're doing the same thing over and
Yeah.
over again. It is ridiculous. Or you'll do it like, for instance, well, we had to call EMTs for her one time. So we repeat, okay, she has this, this, and this. Perfect. They take her transport, we to the hospital. Okay, what's going on with her? Okay, she has this. It's like you still don't know. So my favorite component is not only are we taking and tracking all these metrics and we can see everything that's happening with her on a day-to-day basis, but her health history is there too. I can pull it up and I'm able to say, okay, I'm going to see the provider. The provider is going to have an API to be able to get that information into their EHR system and have that right there. And then they can also share data with their provider if they want. They can say, okay, look, her steps have gone down. Yes, she's been staying up on her medication. And they can actually treat her. And that's what I feel like sometimes gets lost. It's just, okay, come in. I'm going to do the generic thing that's happening, not treating mom. And I think that makes a big difference. And the last component of when going and seeing like a provider, and again, more people experience this than not, you go and see them and hypertension, right? You leave, you get hypertension, they throw all this stuff at you, and you're like, okay, what does that mean? In the app, it's going to not only do a summary, it's going to come back and give you a breakdown. Here's some things you can do. Here's some tips that can help you. So you're not feeling overwhelmed. People leave a hospital or a doctor's office and they have a new diagnosis and they don't have any idea what to do with it, or their loved one doesn't, or they might feel scared. This helps kind of alleviate that, and gives them an option to be able to say, okay, what do I do? So they get to talk to their coach. That's what we call our AI, because HomeTeams, right? It's all in the same team
Yeah.
aspect. So they're able to reach out to coach and say, coach, what can I do for this? How can I help mom? What does this mean? And then, sorry, the last feature I forget because we have so many cool features is the
Yeah.
translation. So let's say, like right now, we're in a very heavy agriculture area. So we have a lot of Spanish speaking. So they may go to an appointment and have no idea it's going to translate for them and give them an interpretation of actually what happened. And it can be live or post. So they can see it right then and actually have translation, which a lot of people do have like a translator in appointments. But sometimes they might feel more comfortable reading it or following along or want to reference it later. So a lot of really key components that we're really excited about.
Yeah. Well, that it was hardly in a nutshell, but I suppose you can't really put such an elaborate app into a nutshell.
Tried so hard.
Well, it was, in fairness, very succinct and clear, which is great. But I wanted to make sure that everyone listening can, pardon me, can hear exactly what it is that we're then talking about. Because, oh, before I dive into something that I've thought of in my head that I want to speak about, but didn't you come up with the idea during COVID as well, the two of you?
Did,
Yeah.
yes, did, which
I
was,
love that. Oh, sorry, go on.
well, I would say it's kind of fun. The whole world was stopped at that point, so we had all this time to kind of collaborate and think, what do we need right now that would be life changing, that would, and I don't want to say necessarily that the healthcare system is broken, but there's pieces that are very broken, disconjointed. I mean, people experience it at home, and I know providers experience it. I talk to providers all the time that they're struggling. How do I care? All I want to do is care for this patient. How do I treat them? So I think during that time was very eye-opening for us and gave us a lot of time to think about it.
Yeah. I find that kind of thing fascinating because I know that in the tough times, often that's where creativity comes from. I know that, for example, Cervantes wrote Don Quixote, I'm pretty sure, in prison. And obviously, tons of musicians sometimes they write incredible albums when they're in prison. And even St. Paul, he was writing many of his letters in the Bible while he's in prison. And it's just not that COVID was prison, but it forces you to just think of something completely different. And that's what helped uh, come up with this idea. So it's really interesting. So what I wanted to ask you, because lots of people who listen to this podcast, they are either, a friend of mine and doing me a favor, or they are, or they are, a lot of people work in healthcare, they run practices, they run healthcare businesses. And so they're always, like everyone, thinking, how can I, improve operations and how can I grow this business better? And I suppose for our business, we're marketing for healthcare companies, so we're all about growth. So I wanted to dive a little bit into that because you have two very distinct business models, really. You've got a similar team, as in the two sort of leaders, and you've got this story element that's attached to both of them. But what I was wondering is, you scaled Pacific Campus up to 200 employees, as you mentioned, and now you've just started this, and it sounds like you've got no doubt that it's going to go everywhere. Um, what do you see that's a similarity between the two models in terms of growth? Like when you were chatting with Steve, for example, thinking of the idea and you're throwing out all these great features, were there things where one of you would say to the other, "Oh, and we can do X, Y, and Z that we did with Pacific Campus to help grow this or to help get this out there"?
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because Steve immediately felt confined with the campus. He's like, we have to be outside our walls. We can only help so many people. And he's right. We have 150,000 square feet approximately. We have about 10 to 15,000 people that come through weekly. So we're limited. We can only fit so many people in the building. So that was kind of where we're like, okay, let's go out with the home team side of things. What I would consider it, and this is how we kind of have the symbiotic relationship between the two, is we consider the campus our lab or our central location. So right now we're in process of actually doing a research study with UCSD. They want to see how HomeTeams is incorporated. So we're taking people right now that are here on campus that have been utilizing it and are going to be using the app, and they're doing a research on it. And they're just the first of many that we're going to be collaborating on how it's reducing insurance costs, increasing well-being, how it's improving mood and lifespan, things like that. So they're going to be kind of going through that part of it. And a lot of that's going to take place here on the campus. So we started off, and Steve's a very visionary man, which is my favorite thing about him. And he started off where he was like, okay, this is a campus. And I'm like, well, we're one building. And he's like, we're a campus. And I'm like, okay, we're a campus. Because he had this vision for so many amazing things. So now we have a second building. We purchased more property. We are expanding the campus, and we're looking at how can we continue to do research to help make HomeTeams better and vice versa. What are we learning from HomeTeams that we can then apply to the central campus?
How interesting. I love the idea that it's sort of feeding, they're both feeding one another, really.
They are. And we have a lot of cross collaboration as far as the higher executive team. They work either in both companies, 50-50, or, a small portion. Everyone's kind of stepping their toes on both sides for the executive team. So that's fun too.
And also, one of the things I think you mentioned to me when we spoke last time was that you consider partnerships a really important role in growing your business as well. And I imagine, I mean, you've already spoken about the importance of getting people in the right place, but getting the right people to partner with, how do you go about that process? How do you get them on board, and how do you expand through that?
A lot of times very similar to how you do with stories, right? People relate to things in some way or another. And I think for HomeTeams, I've never had someone not say, oh, so and so could use that. I could use that. My mother's sister, but so I think it's the relation of like, I see the problem. Obviously, it's a little bit easier to relate to somebody in healthcare right now with HomeTeams. They understand the crisis that's taking place. They understand that there's a breakdown. So providers, healthcare workers, they can understand that. But you would be surprised how many other people, partnerships, insurance companies are seeing the benefit of it, right? They're reducing their visits. They're not sending as many people into the ER. That reduces their cost too. Insurance companies are in it for making money a lot of times. So however they can help the person and save money, they're all on board for that. Obviously, UCSD has a heavy background in research, so they're excited to see what changes can be made in there. So I think for us, it's the organic telling the story, and that's how we've been making most of the partnerships. And then Steve, my favorite thing that he does is he's never up, never in. He is going to reach out to whoever he thinks, and he's going to hope, oh, well, if they don't answer, they don't answer. He has never not had someone answer, ever. I'm like, how did you contact that person? He's like, I don't know. He sent him an email. And I'm like, okay. But his story is so inspiring.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just amazing. His drive and what he's changed in his own health. I mean, so many people hear his story and they're just amazed. And I think we talked about this last time, but he had just finished 100-day challenge. And so
Yeah.
he went on this Masoji that he had created that was 350 miles. And he did this whole hike and kayaked across rivers and lakes and all these things. You would have like seen him 6 years ago, you'd have been like, no way. There's no way he could do this. And he did it. And to me, that's an inspiration only to me, but anyone that hears his story, I mean, how can you not feel inspired by that? It's very cool.
Oh yeah,
Sorry,
it's such a
I went off track there for a second.
no, it's great. I love the energy. It's such a compelling story. I mean, I was watching some of his videos. I'm going to plug his Instagram. You should check it out. It's Steve / Steve White Coach. Um, and yeah, you can see some of the videos and kind of talks about this walk that he's doing. Um, yeah, it's such a compelling story. And that those sort of things make a big difference. But it's interesting as well how you're almost selling it to people by picking out the right things that they want within that story. Because I think a lot of people in healthcare they often get very worried about sales really and the art of persuading people because they think that that's a bad thing. But in my opinion, it's only a bad thing if you're trying to persuade someone to do something that's not good for them, obviously, or that's only good for you and not them. Uh, but I always say that if you are on a mission doing something good and it can help them, so even if it's you can help an insurance company, for example, uh, you have a duty to convince them and to persuade them to join because it's a good thing for them and it's a good thing for the patients as well.
Absolutely. It's funny that you say that. Our mission is caring as the cause. That's what Steve would consider our war cry. And because we feel like everybody wants to not only be cared for, they want to care for other people. And he's very much so into that's the home team thing too, that caring for somebody else is one of the healthiest things you can do. And
Mm,
so the insurance side of things, it also helps them, but in the end, it could reduce premiums. If we're reducing the cost of that, they don't have to charge as much. So that does help the family in the long run. It does help them from going to seeing visits. So there's advantages all around, truly, I think.
yeah. Caring is the cause.
Caring is the cause.
I like it. Yeah, ours is to make a difference in someone else's life or business and to do it with a smile.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I mentioned caring for his mom. Um, and I did it for the 11 months and I would go anywhere from 4 to 5 days a week and I would work. I have two small children. I would work. And once they were all taken care of, I would go put her pajamas on, give her medicine. I have to tell you, I've never been happier in my life. That hour that I would spend with her absolutely changed my life. I mean, I'm even kind of tearing up about it because I miss her so much, but you would
Oh,
think, how do you work 50, 60 hours a week? And then you're like, oh, that sounds exhausting. I would be like, I'm going home. I'm headed to it because it made her so happy. I get to hear about her stories. I get to see her life change. So it did make a big difference for me. And that's when it finally, I mean, I've always kind of loved caring for other people, but it made me go, wow, it's not just me. I'm watching the person that's painting her toenails and the person that's playing Rummy Cube with her and all these people that are being affected by it. We actually have something here. Like this is a big deal. So I love the tagline that he came up with, caring as the cause. And
yeah.
every home deserves a team. That's our other one.
Everyone deserves a team.
Every
Oh,
home
every
deserves. Yeah,
naturally. Yeah, good. I like it. Every home deserves a team. Oh, yeah, it reminds me of when I used to hang out with my grandparents, especially with my granddad. He was there because my grandma had already passed away, and I'd go and after back when I was a teacher, I'd drive the other side of the city, which would take like an hour or an hour and 10 minutes sometimes in traffic, and then I'd just go and hang out with him. We'd chat, and then we'd watch like cowboy movies, and then we'd end up falling asleep. Um, and it was knackering because I was teaching was like the most exhausting thing I did basically ever. Um, but it really fueled my soul. And also, it
Yeah,
was fun to hang out with my granddad, of course.
of
But it's
course.
interesting that you say all these things because just this morning, I always write down what I want to do in the day. And one of the things I wrote today, and I'm not entirely sure because I don't write it every day, but I said I will help someone with something.
I love
And
it.
and yeah, and then you're saying the same sort of thing because it does it really. I don't know. So I guess it's a bit like, is it selfish if you're giving to charity because it also makes you feel good? I don't know. That's like the ethical.
That's the conundrum, right?
Yeah.
I think the answer is no, I don't think it's selfish, right? You're helping other people, you're filling other people's cups. Um, Steve, when he was not feeling well, we would spend a lot of time together during COVID, especially. And so he was like starting to find these different models of things that were helping him. And he built the 7 essential elements. And that's what his Brae 100 is kind of based off of. And they're very simple things that people can understand. The first one is purpose. Somebody has to have a purpose to kind of get through life, right? If you don't have a purpose, what are you doing? Like your purpose may be helping other people, or it might be a goal, whatever it may be. And the second one is thought. So when you're going through life, you don't realize this, but you're having like 10 to 12,000 thoughts in a day.
Mm,
You can't control them. You're just thinking about what you're going to eat and, oh, am I doing this right? And what's happening? And what am I going to do later? And then movement. Everybody needs to move. That one's pretty simple. Recovery, that includes, either meditation, sometimes prayer, sometimes getting in a cold plunge, going in the river, things like that. Sleeping fits in that same category. Nutrition, so you need to know what to drink, what to fuel your body with. And then environment. So who are you putting yourself around? Are you going outside? It's important to be outside, to see kind of a big picture. We're oftentimes kind of not fully experiencing that. And I think that's a big one. His favorite thing that he says is, we live in a 70-degree environment, get outside of it. And then let me think of the last one. Of course, I'm going to forget it. I can't think of it. Let me think of it.
well,
Oh, it'll come to me.
that will give us something. Leave them wanting more, as my dad would say. We can
Yes,
go
there
and
you go.
search that up. Um, yeah, I love all that kind of stuff. I mean, especially that self-talk thing. I came across this guy called Trevor G. Blake, really interesting guy. I'm hoping he's going to come on the podcast soon, and uh, he's grown a bunch of different healthcare businesses. But gosh, even I've forgotten what I was saying now. How funny is that?
Sorry, it's contagious. I'm sorry.
I can't remember what he was saying that was so interesting. I think it was all about being out in nature and how that can have a huge impact. Oh, sorry, the self-talk. That was it.
Oh,
So he was saying that a lot of people, and sometimes I've noticed myself have it, that you can get negative self-talk and your mind is sort of telling you stuff that's really not helpful. Like, why are you doing that? And maybe you're not going to be able to achieve that, and all these little things, and maybe you're doing that wrong. And he was saying that there's a few people who've done a lot of studies that you can listen to positive self-talk, which I know these things, they sound a bit kind of that sort of, what do they call it? Woo woo. But
yeah.
but I've done it a little bit. You put it in your headphones, you do your work or whatever you're doing when you're just doing your solo stuff. And these things, they just in the background saying good stuff to you. And he likens it to young people learning how to speak for the first time. They're not actively listening, saying, oh, what does that word mean? It's just flowing through them. And I
Mm-hmm.
must admit, I think I've noticed that my self-talk is more positive when obviously I'm not listening to this thing all the time. Um,
Sure.
so yeah, interesting. It's one of the seven, thinking
Yeah.
about your thoughts consciously. So I
Yeah.
wanted to ask another question, which is that I know
Sure.
your background is in exercise science.
Mm-hmm.
And that's quite interesting to me. And what I'm interested in is, how did that inform what you're now doing, which is, I know it's in that realm loosely, but you're CEO, you're COO, you're so many things to so many things and people. Uh, where's the line between them? What have you taken from that earlier career to that helps you here, and how different is it?
Yeah. I think the industry that I'm in is very similar. So exercise science, right, is physiology and anatomy. So you're learning a lot of kind of how the human body works, which has always intrigued me. When I was younger, I wanted to be a surgeon. So I was like, that sounds amazing. So the tie-in is basically, I'm still dealing with fitness. I'm still dealing with healthcare. So I have the knowledge to be able to have a conversation about what would a provider need in an appointment? How can we assist them? I'm not really sure how I ended up here. I kind of just feel like it just kind of fell into my lap. Steve has been amazing to me. I started off as the pickleball director here when he took over. I was kind of transitioning into the GM side of things, so I managed just the campus, and he was like, "No, you're going further. We're going to do this," and he's challenged me to learn a lot of amazing things, and I'm privileged to kind of be in this position because of him. So, not really sure how I got here. I'm gonna have to think about that one.
Well, that's what the question was there for.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I do see a lot of similarities in my personality. I've always, like, I'm the oldest. I love caring for people and seeing change, and I'm an athlete as well. So I really resonate with the home team side of things. I kind of just think that, again, with the caring side of things, I think that we make a bigger impact than we realize. And similar to what you did, I didn't write it down, but every day I kind of go, how can I change somebody's life in one way or another? Is it just simply smiling at them and saying, "Oh, your dress looks beautiful today"?
Yeah.
Like, you would be amazed at what that does for people. It is absolutely astounding. That person could be having the worst day of their life, and that one little moment, opening a door for them, just reaching out and saying, "Hey, thinking about you, hope you're having a good day." It changes people's lives. And I think that is probably where I ended up where I'm at, because I do so much care about the mission of caring. I mean, even our mission statement for Pacific Campus is to create a caring environment to care for others and to teach others to care. And that's what we try to do on the daily, because I think Steve and I care about that so much that we're trying to get that out there and change the world as much as we can. So.
Mm. I think the two of you, you obviously have a lot of synergy in terms of your energy. I mean, I've just seen some of his videos. I've not met him, but you, I think you both have this quite strong sort of visionary feel of that you're really on a mission and you're just carving away towards it. And and we won't dive too much into sports, but I just find it really interesting how there's so many correlations and similarities between sports and business. And bearing in mind that you're both athletes, I wonder how often you think about that when you two are sort of in the huddle, when you're
Oh, often, often. I mean, being a quarterback, that's the position that he played. We often talk in football analogies or sport analogies. His favorite one is, we need to get a first down. Where is the first down? And that point of that is, what are we going to accomplish today so that we can keep marching down? Sometimes we do a Hail Mary, right, to the end zone, but the most part is, how are we getting through each day? And then, yeah, I love sports. So I'm right in that, like I said, the huddle side of things. And it's funny, this morning he messaged me. So each year, I have my directors here on campus pick a word. And my word for the year was warrior. And so it's funny how much that has ignited both of us this year. We've used it back and forth, like, okay, we're going to battle today. It's the war day. Like, we're being warriors. And so I think it is important to partner with people, like, on your day-to-day basis, but even who you work with, it's important that they're inspiring you. Are they challenging you to make the world a better place, to make yourself better? That's what I love most about where I work and who I get to be around, because I not only get the privilege of working with an amazing team, I get to see 3,200 plus membership people a day. So that's 10 to 15,000 people that I get to experience and see them change their life. It is different than being like and nothing against a grocery store. I'm sure you have happiness there too, but I get to see people come who weren't walking and now they can walk, who lost 50 to 100 pounds. Like, these are things that are inspiring to me. So I feel very privileged.
well, that's nice to have a bit of gratitude like that. But it's awesome. I mean, it seems like you're really on a mission, and it's nice to get amped up by things. I
Yeah.
think that's really good. So, as we're drawing probably a little bit closer, I always like to ask this one question, which is that if you could go back to see young Shayla, right? She's only, I don't know, 20 years old, but you can only say one piece of advice to them before you're back here. What would be that one thing that you would say to her to help?
Hmm.
Oh, one caveat to help her with her healthcare career journey.
Hmm. It's taken me a long time. I'm a very type A person. If I was to give myself advice, it would be to listen. And what I mean by that is, you would be amazed what you learn from other people. I think I have learned that even more in this last few years, watching people who are terminally ill, their positive outlook on things. And you can't see that unless you pause. I think that's why COVID helps so much. pause, listen,
Mm,
see what's going on, actually process it instead of just go, go, go. When you're in a go, go, go world, you just kind of do the daily things, right? You hop up, you do everything you're supposed to do. Like this morning, I had to get up, got myself ready, get my kids ready, race them to school, had 2 meetings, hopped on this podcast. It's like, that's so much. When can you just stop and listen, find your purpose, pull your thoughts together, get everything ready for the day? That's what advice I'd give myself.
mm, I love it. Yeah, it's really important to pause and think about all the things. I must admit, that's one of the reasons I love love this podcast, is because I get to listen to people who are fascinating, like you, telling all of your different stories, and I even have a little thing that pops up that tells me what sort of percentage I'm speaking to make sure, because it's not about me, to make sure that I'm not talking too much, because I'm one of those people who just when I get going, I'll just ramble on and on and on.
Well, you're
Um,
very charismatic, so I'm was kind of like, oh, hopefully I'm not talking too much.
No, it's been perfect. Well, yeah, bless you. Thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it. So, thank you so much. I, yeah, as we round up, I just want to say again, please pay the tax because no doubt you definitely enjoyed elements of that. So, please do like, subscribe, or at least share it with one other person. I really appreciate it. If you have a great guest, by the way, I've never really said that before, but if someone thinks who's listening out there, oh, I've got someone who'd be a really great guest, feel free to send me a message. I'd love to speak with them. And Shaelah, is there anything that maybe you can point people in the direction of how they can potentially find out more about you, your story, Steve, HomeTeams, maybe online, social media, things like that?
Yeah, so our Instagram handle is HomeTeams app. So at HomeTeams app. And then hometeams.io is the website. And it has information there on Home Teams and then about the Brae 100, which is Steve's program that he put together for the 100 days. I think his book might be on there to purchase. And then the campus itself, you can also find pacificcampus.com if you're wanting to look that up as well, pacificcampus.com. But again, Home Teams is our ability to go outside of our walls. So I appreciate you having me on.
You're very, very welcome. Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. So many things, and it's been a lot of fun. Caring is the cause, I think.
Sharing
I
is the
really
cost.
like, and I particularly like what was the one for home teams? Every home deserves a team.
Yep. Yep.
You could tell by the third iteration you'd really got a good way with the words compared to the slightly longer one that's in Pacific Campus.
Yes. We've narrowed it down.
Yeah, well, I love it. Okay, Shaelah, thank you so much. Everyone who listens, thank you so much. I appreciate it, and see you next time.